The thing that I find hilarious about that is the fact that they obviously posted this video to try and cancel Jordan Peterson, and all it did was actually just make him famous. So, yeah, I just think that's hilarious that what they tried to do, the exact opposite actually happened. Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sorry if I look slightly dishevelled. I've got COVID, basically. I've had it for a couple of days now, at least that's when I tested positive for it, so I've probably had it a bit longer than that. But, yeah, so after feeling rough for about a day or so, I feel a lot better now. I just have to obviously still isolate for a few more days, so, yeah, I figured in the meantime I'll make another YouTube video. Yep, today, in my world-famous reactions, I'm doing another Jordan Peterson video. This one is called The Video That Made Jordan Peterson Famous. I've seen, like, clips of this, but I haven't actually ever seen the entire thing from beginning to end. So, yeah, this will kind of be a new one for both me and you, really, if you haven't already seen it. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get started.
I want to go talk to Peterson. Peterson, do you have any comments on the Nazi presence at your protest? The presence of Nazis and white supremacists assaulting people at your protest, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I don't like Nazis.
Then why are they here?
Well, how can I answer?
Are there views in alignment with yours? At some point you have to realize.
That's a foolish question. Look, if you want to know what my views are...
I've watched all of your videos, yes.
Including...
Yes, I have, yeah.
Then why would you ask such a question?
Because this is my interpretation of your videos.
Apparently.
All of the people who arranged the protest against you watched all of your videos.
So do you want to
I
disavow?
have 150 videos on YouTube.
No, your lectures, which sparked the debate.
Okay.
Do you want to disavow the support?
Could you let me talk to her for a moment?
Don't call me that, please.
So, I have 150 lectures on YouTube. There's 500 hours of my views.
Do you really think that you're worth
out
all
what
of
they
that
are?
time?
So look,
Against you watched all.
Well, obviously, this person does think he's worth all of that time, because they literally just said, I've watched all of your videos on YouTube. So, which is it? Either he is worth all of that time, so then it was a stupid question to ask, or you haven't watched all of his videos on YouTube. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's get back to it.
Of your videos.
So do you want to
I have
disavow?
150 videos on YouTube.
No, your lectures, which sparked the debate.
Okay.
Do
I
you
have
want to disavow the
150.
support?
Could you let me talk to her for a moment?
Don't call me that, please.
So, I have 150 lectures on YouTube. There's 500 hours of my views.
Do you really
If
think that
wanna
you're
find
worth
out
all
what
of
they
that
were-
time?
So look, I will answer your question, okay? I've studied Nazism for a very long time. It's been 4 decades, and I understand it very well. And I can tell you that there's some awful people lurking in the corners, and they're ready to come out. And if the radical left keeps pushing the way
That
it's
sounds
pushing,
very much like a
they're
threat.
going to come.
That sounds very much like a
It's not
threat.
a threat.
That sounds very much like a threat. Would you like to disavow?
How exactly was that a threat? If anything, it sounded more like a warning that people need to calm down, otherwise things could get a lot worse. In no way was that a threat. Like, I don't know, maybe it's me. Guys, in the comment section, let me know if I obviously missed something there, because that doesn't even sound like that could have been vaguely misconstrued as a threat. At least, in my opinion, anyway. But again, maybe that's just me. Let's get back to it.
Out of physical violence, trans people were physically assaulted at this rally in your name. Would you like to disavow that violence?
Yes.
So you wish that didn't happen, and you want to, and I'm going to post this online, that you would like people to not to be more accommodating of trans people and people of color at your events in future.
I would
I'm
like
a
there
person
to
of
be
color.
no
Listen,
violence.
I'm a person of color, and I felt very accommodating. I felt like my voice. Thank you very much.
And there you go. So, yeah, this person clearly does not have a single leg to stand on here. At all. Like, the moment, like, you say, oh, people of colour, you know, don't feel accommodated at your lectures, when at least two that you can see in the main camera there, two people who have both identified as people of colour have just stepped up and said, no, we felt very accommodated there. So, I mean, I don't know who's filming this video. Hopefully we do see who the camera person is, because it really would not surprise me if that person turned out to be white. Because you ever notice how it's always white people who are telling other people what is and is not racist? You ever notice that? But yeah, let's get back to it.
You wanted to disavow, and this is the disavow. I am not an advocate of violence. I'm speaking out the way I'm speaking out because I think this is a route to no violence. And violence is lurking, and you can say that that sounds like a threat.
There was no violence at our protest, though. There was violence at your protest. So what does that say about our dude?
It's not my protest. You know, asking me continually freighted questions isn't very helpful if you actually want to have a dialogue. You have no idea if I'm your enemy. You have no idea about me.
You won't use my pronouns, so I'm pretty sure you're my enemy, yes.
Yeah, well, I know you think that, but I don't believe that using your pronouns is going to do you any good in the long run. I think it'll do quite the contrary.
What?
Is that your medical opinion?
Why, is that your medical opinion? Like, you are aware that non-binary people are valid.
Is that your medical opinion? He's a doctor. And not just, I don't mean he's in that he's got like a doctorate in philosophy or a doctorate in music. He's a clinical psychiatrist. He's one of the only professions, really, who's allowed to state that not using the preferred pronouns could be better, could be, better or more harmful to you in the long run. So yeah, and people saying, oh, is that your professional medical opinion? Oh, yeah. So, I don't know. Let's get back to it.
In the American Psychological Association.
Is that your opinion?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's about non-binary pronouns.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm saying that that's what I'm about.
Were you there when I spoke?
Yeah, I've been here for this whole thing.
Okay, well, I don't know that. It's a genuine question. Look, I think that's what's happening is that we're pushing over a line we shouldn't cross. The newest legislation is requiring people to use.
But you are aware that that's being put in place so that we can't get fired. We need to be written into the Canada human rights legislation, or we can be fired for our gender identity. Well, then why did you make a fucking video about it? I've been denied housing as a trans person. These rights would protect me.
Denied housing?
I've been denied housing.
From the state or for the open market? So you've been denied housing, like, from the government?
It's illegal either way if we had human rights.
From the government? Or have you tried to get a house like everybody else, and they said, no, you're weird, you can't work? No, if the state has done that, that's a problem. But if someone doesn't want to live with you, that's their right.
They said, no, you're trans. So no, if I had human rights, that wouldn't have fucking happened.
That's weird. I don't want to listen to this.
As far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so, again, for some reason the audio goes askew whenever I do the screen recording on this. So I'm assuming it was that person there with the headband on, or the bandana, sorry, that was just speaking. But yeah, he's right. I'm sorry, you did not get turned down from buying a house purely because you're transgender. Like, that just didn't happen. That's an insanely massive lawsuit waiting to happen if that truly was the case. So yeah. Now, if it was a case of a landlord refusing to rent them a room, or, like I say, a person, like I say, refusing to have them as their flatmate or housemate, whatever you want to call it, then yes, that's their right. You can choose who you do and do not want to live with. Because, let's be honest, if the person had said, yeah, sure, you can live here, but they also turned out to be transphobic, would you not eventually leave that place anyway? So really, it just sounds like this person kind of dodged a bullet in not being able to get a house where they originally wanted, because it sounds like whoever was going to rent them the house or whatever it was transphobic in the first place. So yeah, it just sounds like they dodged a bullet, really. I don't really see why they're complaining about it. But yeah, let's get back to it.
That's a terrible thing. It's too bad that that's happening.
So you don't want us to have protections in the human rights bill that will allow me to have employment, allow me to have housing security, allow me to have medical care. That's what this is about. It's not about infringing on your rights and making you learn a new fucking pronoun.
I don't think that's what it's about.
What evidence do you have that attempting to transform the way that people use pronouns is going to produce a positive effect?
Because are you aware that there is a trans boy who killed himself in psychiatric care recently because he was continuously being misgendered by his care workers?
And that is Michael Stein's problem.
And there have been multiple multiple recorded instances of trans people killing themselves because they are not being integrated into society. We are not looking for special treatment. We are looking to be able to integrate ourselves into society. And if you refuse to refer to us by our pronouns, which is not allowed to ask, singular they pronouns go all the way back to Shakespeare. It's not a new thing. If you refuse to let us integrate ourselves into society, you create alienation that results in suicide. We are in a suicide epidemic right now. What are you contributing to this as a psychologist?
Man, you know, you're almost impossible to talk to. You're so full of rhetoric that it's impossible to listen to you. I would be more than happy.
Okay, so just to pause a little bit ahead there. So a person who was in psychiatric care killed themselves purely because they weren't referred to by their preferred pronouns. That's the only reason. Has nothing to do with the fact that they were in psychiatric care in the first place. It's purely because they weren't referred to by the pronouns that they wanted to be referred to by. Sure, let's go with that. Side note, the suicide rate within the transgender community is at 70%, and it's like that way before and after they transition. So apparently transitioning does absolutely nothing to lower the suicide rate. But, yep, let's get back to it.
Listen to you.
Yeah, really.
Rhetoric. And yes, actually, I don't really think I am a rhetorician. Just so you know that. And you know, like, it's very hard to listen to you. I mean, it's very hard to attend to you.
Because
you rattle on with your ideological speech.
It's not ideological. It's personal. That's what you.
It's not personal. You haven't said a personal thing.
I'm talking about something that affects my community.
When you say the things that you say, it tends, even if you didn't mean it to, it attracts people like neo-Nazis and fascists because they see an avenue in what you're saying to do what they want. Even if that's not what you meant, they see an avenue in your in the idea of like a more abstract form of free speech. They see an avenue in that to continue to spread their hateful ideology and to make more people hateful. So that's why the Nazis come here. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that's why that was.
I'm perfectly aware of it.
I have a calm, rational question. Okay. I won't get emotional with you. So who is this legislation harming? Who is
harming anybody who wants to use their own words?
So in what capacities? Be specific.
Look, it's important that people are able to use their own words.
Okay.
Because that's how we think. And if the government starts legislating how we think...
So if I wanted to call you she... I'm playing off of what you're saying. If I wanted to call you she and her and miss, because that's my freedom of speech, and if everyone just called you that all the time, and that was the only thing...
Can't you tell?
I think that you don't care because you've never had to face that. And it's a common trend among people who have never had to face, like, transgender-related discrimination, that you think it's not a big deal because you don't have to deal with it.
I didn't say I didn't think it was a big deal. I said I didn't care if people called me that.
Okay, so again, like you said, he said he doesn't care, and she's saying, well, I think, I just say I think it's because I think you're saying that you won't care because it doesn't happen to you. Jordan Peterson isn't the type to care. The one thing I do want to point out though, do you notice how like he kind of ignores the people that are getting irate, but the ones who are speaking to him calmly, even the ones that are on like the left side, if you will, of this topic, or at least in this video anyway, that he's responding to them, he's listening to them. You can tell he's listening because he's nodding along with what they're saying. So, and he's answering them as well, and he's at least giving them the time to speak, but he doesn't have time for the ones that are just yelling at him. Yeah, it just, personally, I think that's how we all should be, and we could all kind of learn a lesson from that part alone. But, yeah, let's get back to it. Oh, also, I'm sorry for keep pausing. This video just has so many different good points to pause at. I just can't help it. So, yeah, apologies for that part. But, yeah.
I'm not arguing about your rights.
Yes, you are.
No,
these things about our rights.
For trans
I'm sorry, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you realize that right now, if you were to kill a trans person, because only for the sole reason that they're trans, that would not be considered a hate crime? Sure, they could be convicted of murder, but not of a hate crime. And that's what this bill...
in the States, they can use a trans-panic defense in almost all the United States and get off by claiming temporary insanity because they were freaked out by the trans person.
I am not claiming for a moment that people who don't fit into standard and traditional sexual categories or sexual identity categories
this is about gender,
face
though.
all sorts of trouble. They do.
Sexuality.
I just don't think that this is the way to fix it. In fact, I think
You do not a law that legislates protections from discrimination for trans people.
not this way.
You do not think that.
That's right. I don't think.
Have you read the laws are intentionally worded?
Bring as many
Most
people
laws involving
cause
human
as
rights.
much trouble to as many people as possible.
What would we gain from
There is
that?
a conspiracy of intent.
I didn't say it was a conspiracy.
You think there is a concentrated effort behind these bills in order to specifically make the lives of people worse, and that's why we create human rights legislation to make it.
I think that
harder for
people.
to
I think
live
that
their
people
lives.
often do things to make other people's lives worse. Don't you?
Well, clearly, as an example of this rally.
I am probably the most fervent anti-statist you will ever meet. I am an anarchist, and I do not believe that anyone who writes legislation has the interest of anybody but themselves and their special interest groups at heart. So don't come at me saying that I want to suck off the nipple of the government, okay? Because that's not who I am. What I'm interested is in that people I love are being assaulted, are being killed, are being discriminated against, are being kicked out onto the street, are freezing to death in the winter because they're being denied shelter. And I feel.
But pronouns are too much to ask for you to show solidarity towards those
Can I just have a
people.
moment?
Sorry.
Look, we agree that this is a thing that's happening. We agree that it's a reprehensible thing that's happening.
Okay, sure. Let's agree on that.
I mean, I don't think that would be controversial to most people. I mean,
agree.
apparently some people think. Apparently to some people we're freaks because we can't have families or whatever. But what okay, whatever. Maybe that's not something you agree with. I don't know. I'm not going to put words in your mouth in that regard.
I agree with.
What I fail to understand is how you honestly feel, in your expert opinion, as both an educator, as an educated person, that not calling somebody by a pronoun that has been used to refer to individual people.
Legislating it. It's legislating it is a necessity that I have an objection to.
Okay, so if there was this legislation was not on the table, if this legislation fails, let's say, if this is removed, you would be totally fine referring to me with they them pronouns.
Probably not they and them.
Probably not they and them. Why is
No.
that?
Well, because I don't think it's a tenable solution.
A
I don't think
solution
it's
to what?
I don't think it's a solution to the problem that you're trying to solve. I mean, it's not. Look, it's not that easy to track that. I know that's how you.
You were literally saying you can make up a word and make that a child's name, and you would refer to them by that name. Why is it different for a pronoun?
Well, it's different because it's different.
No, it's just as core.
Just asked.
It's different because it's a pronoun for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons it's different is that pronouns turn out to be very difficult to change. They're a closed linguistic.
Which is why we're using they them pronouns, which has historical continuity.
Yeah,
it is in the English language. It's in the Oxford English Dictionary.
It's nothing new.
As an educator, okay, hold on. Sorry, yeah.
You were asked, would you refer to me using they them pronouns? You said, no, I wouldn't. When asked why, you said, because I don't think it's a solution. When I brought up then it was basic respect and so on, what you said was, oh, I wouldn't do it if I was like coerced or whatever you said. Somebody literally just asked, would you do this for me? And you said, no, I would not show you that respect. I would not extend that amount of dignity to you.
That's not what I said.
Yes, you said
You said that you would not use they them pronouns for a person.
Nobody
I did
asked.
say that.
Nobody asked anything about if I came like with a club and asked you to like use certain pronouns to refer to me.
What makes
But
you
I just asked, would you refer to me if it wasn't for this law and I asked you to refer to me with they them pronouns? Would you? And your answer was no.
Not if I was compelled to.
No,
But we're saying if you weren't.
You said no, and then when I started asking you about, you said it wasn't a solution. When you were asked, what is it not a solution to? You said something vague. We said it's about basic respect, and then you said not if I was compelled to. So no, when you were just asked, as a matter of respect, in fact, would you refer to a trans person who asked you to use they them pronouns, a pronoun which has a several
Not if I was
hundred-year
compelled to.
historical.
But
precedent.
that's not what we're talking about.
Yes, it is, because it's
We just
legislation.
we're saying if it wasn't legislation.
I've got to stop, guys. Look, there's too many of you.
Okay, one simple
I've had
question.
enough. Sorry, I
Dr.
can't do this
Peterson,
anymore.
one simple question.
No, I'm done.
I thought we were statistically irrelevant.
If it was
Well, yeah,
not
I mean,
the
like,
law,
I don't
and
exist.
a trans person asked you, would you please refer to me by they and them pronouns, would you refer to them by those pronouns?
Might depend on how they ask.
So no.
Why do you have the authority to determine
please
whether or
refer
not
to me
they're
by
Why
those
do I
pronouns.
have the
Why
authority
do you
to
have the
determine what I say?
Why do you
What
have-
kind of question
Why do
is
you have
that?
the authority? Let me finish. Why do you have the authority to determine whether or not an individual is worthy of you using their pronouns? Like, if I asked you, would you please use they them pronouns for me? What?
It would depend on what I
What
thought of your
hoops
motivation.
do you want us to jump through?
Those are
What
my
do-
pronouns. Those are my
There's no
pronouns.
motivation.
No, I know. No one ever has any motivation.
We're
Those are my
trying to
pronouns and I want
survive.
to be-
Politics are a product of our lives and us trying to live in this world. We're not trying to
No,
live in
that's
this
a
world
partial-
as a product of our
you want me to
politics.
send you
I was
flowers?
apolitical before I came out as trans. I got into politics because I needed to survive, to advocate against people like you, no offense. I have one quick question. Okay, so they them pronouns are written into the Oxford English Dictionary, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. It's actually the word of the year this year. Okay, the fact that they them pronouns are written in the Oxford English Dictionary doesn't mean anything. LOL is in the dictionary. It has been for years. It's been since I was in high school. And I haven't been in high school for actually think it's almost 10 years now. So, yeah, the fact that it's in they them pronouns are in the dictionary doesn't mean anything. And also, the fact that it's the word of the year, okay. It does have historical continuity all the way back to Shakespeare. It is objectively an English word, singular they pronouns, grammatically correct. Do you think that you can choose to not respect something that is in the English language as a professor, as an academic, that you are going to
do that? Absolutely. I am choosing to do that.
you're ignoring rules of the English language to go out of your way to disrespect students?
That's your opinion, and I'm not going
It
to
is my opinion.
disrespect students.
We're saying it's disrespectful
Anyway,
to
I'm
us.
sorry, guys.
You don't get to decide what's disrespectful to us. So yeah, I thought that was really good. The thing that I find hilarious about that is the fact that they obviously posted this video to try and cancel Jordan Peterson, and all it did was actually just make him famous. So yeah, I just think that's hilarious that what they tried to do, the exact opposite actually happened. Now, for anyone who's wondering what they're talking about when they talk about legislation, the thing that, again, made Jordan Peterson famous, besides this video, was he went before, I don't know, maybe the Canadian Supreme Court, I'm not really sure, or, you know, their parliament or whoever it was about this bill. I think it was like C-114, something like, you just Google it. Basically to say that not using someone's their preferred gender pronouns was a hate crime. So to make it so that you had to use it. So, which is what Jordan Peterson was saying was, it's not so much that he has a problem using the pronouns that someone wants to be referred to as. It was the fact that maybe he doesn't think it's for the best, like he said earlier, and bearing in mind he's a clinical psychiatrist, so if he believes that not referring to you by your preferred gender pronouns is what's best for you long-term mentally, he's probably a person to listen to, considering, you know, he's a doctor. But it was also with the fact that it was compelling people to use those terms. So you were forcing speech. Now, the moment you tell in a government and legal sense, you tell people what they can and can't say, that's how you get to tyranny, essentially. And that's what he's saying. And I think a lot of people choose to ignore that, which is, again, why I think it's really funny that everyone is accusing him, you know, oh, he's a Nazi, he's this, he's that. No, he's not. He openly disavowed them multiple times at the beginning of this video as well, so I think it's funny that people will still be trying to call him that. But, yeah, that's all for this one, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If there's anything else you want me to react to, please let me know. Until next time.